Bruce, you must have something really good too.
Of course I do. It's Bruce Danielson, and I guess I'm here to entertain you too.
3B's already been read, which is the item.
Okay, so we'll go to item 3B then.
Or we have to approve the
Regular agenda.
On the regular agenda. Okay.
Mr. Chair, make a motion to approve the regular agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, passes.
Item 3B, petition number 9840, 2019, rezone of the RS Single Family Suburban District to the S2 Institutional Campus PUD District for allowed forms located at the southeast corner of East 24th Street and South 7th Avenue.
Mr. Chair, I will recuse myself on this item.
Okay, thank you.
Land Commission, Albert Schmidt, representing Planning and Development Services tonight. On this application, the applicant is Damian Gribble, and the owner is Avera McKinnon. This location is at the southeast corner of 7th and East 24th Street, 7th Avenue. That's approximately 1 acre in size. The look is to rezone it from the RS to the S2, and then we'd come through later on with PUD for the S2 side of things. The goal on this location is to remove the existing houses and construct a new facility for the nuns for Avera McKinnon. The facility is concept plan shown above here of where they're going to have. You can see there's visitor parking there on the left-hand side or the west. On the east, you have internal parking for the structure shown, and then a redirection of the existing alley. So there's multiple moving parts on this one. One is the rezoning. 2 is a vacation of the alleyway that goes through the area and relocating it there so it cuts directly over onto 8th Avenue. And the petitioner is present to answer any additional questions. And if you have any questions for me, I can provide you those.
Commissioners, any questions? Thank you. Is the petitioner here? State your name and address for us, please.
Good evening, Commissioners. Tom Bosch, 5201 South Stockwell Circle here in Sioux Falls. I serve as the Vice President of Hospitality with Avera McKinnon. And I thought everything was explained very well. I just wanted to kind of add, we are excited at Avera to partner with our founders of McKinnon, the Presentation Sisters, who we've had a relationship with them since they were first here in 1911 to build the Presentation Sisters Center is what we're proposing to you all. Wanted to let you know we had a neighborhood meeting recently, which was attended by 3 people. We had very, very open discussion. I think it's fair to say that one of the main concern points that people had was access to their garages in the alleyway, and as has been shared, from exiting onto East 24th Street and redirecting that to exit onto 8th Avenue that we had. But as we talked that over with them and kind of shared that they would still have access, many of those houses that are located south of there are actually owned by Avera McKinnon, and we have tenants that rent homes, so certainly we want to make sure that everyone, whether we own those homes or not, that they're easily accessible by everyone. So I'd be open to any questions any of you may have.
Commissioners, any questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone that is for this project? Okay, anyone opposing?
My name is Rich Duncan. I live at 1710 South 7th Avenue. That little garage in the house you see in your lower left corner, that's my place. I am one of the few, less than a dozen owner occupants in the entire 8 square block area between 24th and 26th, 7th and Cliff. My only concern is that is my garage and I access through the alley. The alley relocation is great. It's just going to mean I'm going to have to figure out how to do one heck of a tight 290-degree turns to get into my garage. I think it's viable. But the alley relocation, when I first saw it, it looked like it was not as wide as the alley itself. And I am a little concerned about snow removal in that area because they do just come down the middle of our alley with a single blade truck, the city does, and that's how it's cleared. So hopefully that will all work out real well. I will say one thing about Avera, they've been very good neighbors and they've been very good landlords to the areas that they do own in our area. They've maintained them very, very well. So kind of look forward to this continuing, but that was my main concern. Like I said, the property line's gonna butt up right up next to me, so if anybody's gonna be impacted, I'm number one. The other little house you see right there, which is across the alley from my house, has been vacant for 15 years. The lady who lived there passed away, and it's now, I believe, in the hands of her estate. So that's kind of what's going on in our particular neighborhood. But like I said, my main concern is making sure that we are still going to have access to our garages, that alley extension is wide enough, that it's not any narrower than the alley itself. And I was a little concerned about how close the building was, but I look at it now, it's not as close to my house as originally we were kind of shown, so which is nice to see. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair? Sir?
Rich?
Were you at the neighborhood meeting that Mr. Bosch talked about?
There were 66, I don't know, 3% of the people that were there. The other person who was there happens to live at the corner of the northeast corner of 8th and 24th. So his rental house, which is the house he lives in, is owned by Avera. He will actually face their garage area. So, and his concern that he mentioned was drainage, making sure that, you know, when they do this, that if they're gonna, because the particular side of the lot right there is a little higher in the northeast corner of those 8 lots, is a little higher than the rest of the built lot areas. In fact, in most cases, the alley is actually higher than most of the yards. In fact, the alley does come down. When I put my garage there, we hauled in quite a bit of fill. And with the fill came pigweed. And anybody's ever known what the pigweed's like, I've been fighting that thing since 1993. I think I finally got it under control in my yard.
I'm glad to hear you were at the neighborhood meeting,
Yes.
and
Yeah, we were
sounds like it was a good dialogue.
Like I said, my wife and I, like I said, we were 2 out of the 3, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else like to address this item? All right, we're going to close testimony. Commissioners?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve for discussion.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, could we have Mr. Bosch come back up real quick, please? Tom, hearing the concerns there with the angles and such, dealing with the new alley relocation, what are your comments in terms of it being wide enough to handle both snow removal equipment as well as what he was referring to with his angles and such?
I'm going to defer to Jacob, so
Thank you.
thank you. He could best respond to that.
Sure.
Hello, Jacob Bundy, one of Avera's in-house project architects. So with the comments on the alleyway, this is all still very schematic at the moment, but we'll be happy to work through with the neighbors on. We are already planning to make that larger than the current alleyway, and of course the drainage will be much improved compared to what it is now. We'll probably rework all of the dirt work on the site to make sure that everything flows appropriately. There are some existing issues that we will take care of with the project, so that's kind of part of what we do as good neighbors. So we'll happily address the the turning radius, we can make that a little wider. We can do several things to help with that.
Very good. Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else? Good, thank you. All right, so we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Passes. All right, then we're moving on to
Item 6A, petition 9802, 2019, conditional use permit for a full-service restaurant establishment located within 500 feet of a sensitive land use located at 2113 South Minnesota Avenue.
Jason Bieber, representing Planning and Development Services. The applicant of the current Ethiopian restaurant that has just taken over a tenant space in the Southway Center on Minnesota Avenue would like to also serve beer and wine along with his food to his customers. There are sensitive land uses to the west. That's behind the building across a parking lot. There are single family that's within 250 feet of this proposed full-service restaurant. The proposed full-service restaurant meets the criteria of the comprehensive plan. This is an existing arterial corridor with several commercial uses. This was the previous use of this specific tenant space was also a full-service restaurant. As you can see by the map, the parking is on site in the front and in the rear, and they will also have to have a security management plan approved prior to their license being issued by the city council. Because the applicant has provided clarity to indicate the location, nature, and the extent of the work proposed, and because the site in question was previously used as a full-service restaurant, staff does recommend approval of this conditional use permit, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
any questions? Thanks, Jason. Is the petitioner here?
It doesn't appear that the petitioner is here. Just want to note, we did not receive any calls in opposition on this specific one at all, so it's up to you if you want to defer it or just approve it.
Can we move it to the later in the meeting if he shows up?
Sure, you can move it to the end of the agenda. I'm not sure, he probably isn't going to show up if he's not here already, but definitely give him a little bit more time.
Okay. Right, we make a motion to do that? Yeah. Look for a motion to.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to move item 9802-2019 to the end of the current agenda.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, we'll move that to later in the agenda.
Item 6B, petition 9805, 2019, conditional use permit for a human services facility located within 1,000 feet of a residential area located at 710 North Marion Road.
Evening again. This is for the banquet, the West Side facility. This location is within 1,000 feet of a residential area. The trailer park to the west there is within that distance. When you look at the site plan that we had back when we did the rezoning for the area, you can see obviously they're taking into consideration their arterial street to the west. Their parking is adequate for the facility. The only reason why they're here for the conditional use is the distance that they are to those single-family homes. The request is to meet the needs of the neighborhood, the area. There have been no comments or concerns addressed from anybody on this one. And based on the application and what's provided, the site layout, the plan, and the use, staff recommends approval. It sees it's a perfectly good use for the location.
Thank you. Any questions for Albert? Is the petitioner here? You come up and state your name and address.
I'm Tamara Yerke, 2002 South Center Avenue. I'm the executive director of the banquet. And this is an expansion, permanent home for our Banquet West. We have been serving at the fairgrounds for the last 5 years to try to meet the needs of people in our community in the Northwest side. We are very fortunate to have some land donated to us at this location, and so we're just excited to put up a home a permanent home where we can help people in need in the northwest part of our city. So I can answer any questions you might have.
Questions for Tamara?
No, I just want to thank you for, I live over on the west side and have volunteered before, and I think it's a great addition over there, so thank you.
We're super excited. Thank you.
Anyone else that would like to speak on this item? All right, we'll close the floor. Commissioners?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just echo what Steve just said. Thank them for providing that service.
Well, and this also seems to fit pretty well in the neighborhood. It's on arterials. It has all the markings of being a really good neighbor. So I think it makes a lot of sense.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Passes.
Item 6C, 9850-2019 conditional use permit for a full-service restaurant establishment located within 500 feet of a sensitive land use located at 3808 North Cliff Avenue.
Good evening. The applicant, which is Jackie's Restaurant, is looking at opening their third location in the former Taco Bell restaurant on North Cliff Avenue. They have closed the location on Benson and Cliff and moving all operations up here. This restaurant will have a drive-through, a sit-down area for patrons, and they would also like to be able to offer beer and wine as part of their menu. There is an existing place of worship on the parcel to the north. That is the sensitive land use that they're within 250 feet of. And the proposed full-service restaurant meets the criteria of the comprehensive plan. This is an existing arterial corridor with lots of commercial uses. The previous use of this site was obviously a different restaurant, a Taco Bell, but still a restaurant use. As you can see, they have the required parking, and they will also have that security management plan approved prior to the council meeting. Because the applicant has provided clarity of the indication, location, nature, and extent of the work proposed, staff does recommend approval of this conditional use permit. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Jason? Thanks, Jason. Is the petitioner here? You come up and give your name and address.
My husband speak for me, okay?
It's Jerry and Jackie Van Lowe, 501 North Sandburg, Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Okay. You want to tell us a little bit about?
This is just another one of her restaurants. We closed on Benson Road, moved over here. We bought this building. I think it's going to work.
Okay. Any questions?
You folks had beer and wine at the Benson location, correct?
We did. Yes, that was already done. I think it was Big Cheese had done that. Steve and Lori Booth had applied for that, so we just used that.
Sure.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to address this item? Seeing none, look for commission action.
Mr. Chair, move to approve this item.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
This seems to be a pretty logical use for this existing building, and the location seems good. It all seems like a good fit for this kind of a use, and special use helps to make it successful.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Passes.
Item 6D, petition 9851-2019 conditional use permit for an on-sale alcohol beverage establishment located within 500 feet of a sensitive land use located at 2601 West 12th Street.
The applicant here would like to open a small casino in the northwest portion of the existing Freedom gas station, just east of South Kiwanis and south of West 12th Street. As you can see by the aerial, there are existing single-family uses to the south and southeast. The proposed on-sale alcoholic beverage establishment meets the criteria of the comprehensive plan. This is an existing arterial corridor, as we've seen with the other ones, with commercial uses including on-sale alcoholic beverage establishments, as well as casinos. The proposed casino will be constructed within the existing Freedom building. The applicant will need to meet the requirement for parking spaces of a multi-tenant building, which I believe they already have enough on-street parking, or off-street parking, excuse me. Further, the location of this on-sale alcoholic beverage establishment is going to be in the northwest corner of the building, orientated away from the existing single-family homes to the south and east, and face towards other commercial uses along West 12th Street. This should help alleviate any incompatibilities with the existing neighborhood. And finally, that security management plan will need to be approved by the police department prior to the alcohol license being issued. Because the applicant has provided clarity to indicate the location, nature, and the extent of the work proposed, staff does recommend approval of this conditional use permit. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Jason? No? All right, thanks, Jason. Is the petitioner here? State your name and address.
Hi, sir. My name is Sandeep Chunara. I'm living the 310 West 12th Street, apartment number 301, Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
You want to tell us a little bit about what you're looking to do?
I just tried to open the casino there, a small one, near my gas station inside the building.
Okay.
And people like to come over there more.
Thank you. Any questions? No. All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Anyone else that would like to address this item? Look for commission action.
Move to approve item 6D.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, I just want to make a comment. It looks like a great location in the building for this use, moving it away from the residential to the south, and just makes sense.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Passes. Thank you.
Item 6A, petition 9802, 2019, conditional use permit for a full-service restaurant establishment located within 500 feet of a sensitive land use located at 2113 South Minnesota Avenue.
It appears the applicant's not here, so I guess that leaves you guys with three choices. You can either approve it, deny it, or defer it to the March 6th Planning Commission meeting.
Mr. Chair, Jason, could you answer the question maybe long-term or otherwise? What has been typically done in situations like this from a precedent standpoint?
Honestly, John, I think we've done it both ways, to be honest with you. I can remember ones that we've deferred, and I can remember a couple, it's probably been a couple years that we've approved. So it really kind of depends, I think, on if there was people here to speak against it, or if we had calls on it. My personal opinion, this was an existing full-service restaurant, so I don't think there's much controversy or incompatibilities with this. But the applicant's not here, so it's completely up to you all if you want him to come back next month. So.
And if we were to move to the next meeting, what's that meeting date?
That would be the March 6th Planning Commission meeting.
Okay.
More often than not, Commissioner Paulson, we tend to defer.
Yeah, that's what I...
Foreseeable history, or the history I remember. So.
Well, I'll move that we defer it till March 6th for purposes of discussion and action.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. All right, we'll defer that.
Item 7, public input on non-agenda items.
Is there anyone that would like to address us? Public input. All right, seeing none. I will look.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. We are adjourned.